we have to overcome the material attachments. And we have to learn from the association, Sadhu Sangh, how not to feed or cultivate knowingly or unknowingly material attachments. Because if the holy name takes offense, then the mercy will be withdrawn, right? And then you will feel dry, and again a lot of material hankering, etc. It will start increasing. You will go in the reverse gear. So it's very important to understand that as we want to make progress, we have to side by side give up all material attachments. Have to learn that, Vairagya Vidya. Now, the more nicely you chant, the more mercy of the holy name will come in the form of light in the core of the darkness of your heart. So as you become more sincere, you will see more dirt, more subtle attachments, more subtle anarthas. For example, the desire for name and fame, pratishtha. In the beginning, everybody thinks I don't have any pratishtha. But Sanatana Goswami says that the root of all anarthas is pratishtha. So maybe after 10, 15, 20 years, you will recognize that you also have desire for pratishtha. You know. So you have to, the moment the holy name is showing you the dirt, you have to respond positively and start working on those things. You know, what is the mercy of the holy name? It first helps you to remove your ignorance, to remove the material hankering, right? So if we externally commit ourselves, you know, but internally we don't want to surrender, then this is like Rajogun, you know, Dvandva. Understanding in the mode of passion means duality. I like Krishna, but I also like a little bit of Maya. You know, I cannot give up Maya completely. So we discussed this in the last lecture, which was obviously in Hindi, about self-limiting barrier. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Shuchite Kare Udoy. Everyone has the potential to love Krishna fully, and that means you have the potential to completely give up all material attachments. So, as one takes Diksha, the main purpose of Diksha, according to Jiva Goswami, is to get transcendental knowledge. It's Siksha. The main purpose of Diksha is Shiksha. So we have to understand what is Bhakti, what is pure Bhakti, you know, and what is surrender, what are the 6 limbs of surrender. And then we have to start practicing them. We have to get the training from the devotees, from the guru, Shiksha Guru, counselor. So if we don't go in this direction, then obviously what will happen is we will become knowingly or unknowingly pretenders. Externally we are dressing as a devotee, behaving like a devotee, but internally we don't have it. We don't have that devotion. We don't have that surrender. There's a dilemma. So everyone has to go through this. Because obviously, since time immemorial, we are functioning under the false ego, aham mameti. And from this aham mameti comes the doership. I am the doer. Yeah. And I am the enjoyer. So we have to understand what is the mercy of the holy name, So we have to practice these 6 limbs of surrender in relationship with the holy name. Do what is favorable for chanting. Reject what is unfavorable for chanting. Understand that the holy name is your protector and maintainer. Be very, very humble and align all your desires with the desires of the holy name, Harinam Prabhu Krishna. So this is how a sincere and a serious devotee has to change. Not only externally, it's very easy to change externally. For 2,000 bucks, you can get a whole devotee outfit, new hairstyle, everything, tilak, kantimala, everything. But it's not 2,000 bucks to change the heart, or 2 million bucks to change the mind and the heart. It takes a lot more effort. Srila Prabhupada, he says in the Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 12th chapter, text 43, in relationship with Dhruva Maharaj, that my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, said that all his disciples can go back home, back to Godhead in just one life, in one life. So you can imagine how much we will have to surrender, We surrender externally, then we stop. Then we think we have done enough. Now let's take a break. But that break has to be very short. And then again, you have to start working on the internal surrender, And we have to give up each and every material desire before we can go back home, back to Godhead, right? So the holy name is so merciful that the holy name shows us in our heart by putting on the halogen lamp where we need to work. And this is mercy, this is kripa. And if we turn a blind eye to that, then the holy name will switch off the light for some time. And you'll just go on chanting mechanically. So this is very important that, we have to work on our material desires. If we just perform the bare minimum of sadhana, this is written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. If we just perform the bare minimum of sadhana, then Rajogun and Tamogun will be in full swing. Then Rajogun and Tamogun will be in full swing and will refuse to dwindle. And will refuse to dwindle, causing the sadhaka to be in mediocrity, duality, mixed devotion, little bit material, little bit spiritual, right? So he will not have the strength. With bare minimum of sadhana, the sadhaka will not have the strength or willpower to pull himself away from the inertia of Maya. And what will happen? Thinking in terms of I and mine, that sadhaka will commit the 10th offense and chanting becomes less potent. So devotional service is a big science, and getting Krishna, getting the full mercy of the holy name is not a cheap thing. Krishna expects full surrender. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. Similarly, the holy name expects full surrender, and the devotees have to learn this science, Srila Prabhupada took so much pain. He would only sleep 2 hours in 24 hours. Why? To give us this knowledge, so that we could apply that knowledge in our lives and get the full mercy of Harinam Prabhu, right? So we have to become conscious, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna conscious. We cannot perform sadhana in an unconscious way and get the mercy. We have to see how the holy name is reciprocating with us. And the first installment of mercy and reciprocation of the holy name is to show us our dark, weak spots, so that we can start working on them. We can stop cultivating those things, And once we do start cultivating the purification of the weak spots, then the holy name will also help us. Cheto darpana marjanam. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamiyam. Like we see when Yashoda Maya was trying to bind Krishna. So every time she added a one string, there was always 2 fingers gap. No matter how many strings she brought, there was 2 fingers gap. And what do Sanatan Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explain? This 2 finger gap. One is our endeavor, the other is Krishna's mercy. So bhakti is basically mercy, but it is not 100% based on mercy. 20% your effort is your full potential. Means you have to give your full best, full potential. And then Krishna's mercy, which is 80%. So that's how the equation works. If you are only giving 50% of your efforts, then you will get 10 marks. And Krishna will give you 40 marks. So you will end up with 50 marks. If you give your 100% effort, you will get 20 marks. Then Krishna will give you 80 marks. Your 100, you go back home, back to Godhead. This is how it works, the mathematics, spiritual mathematics for success. So Krishna, knowing that you are a Kali Yugite, you cannot see all these things, he helps you. In the beginning, he is not asking anything. Patra na dekhi. Mahaprabhu gave the holy name to everyone. And as you keep on chanting and start becoming purified, sincere, then the holy name starts showing you where you need to work on, what you need to give up. Divya Gyan Ride Prokashito. The spiritual master is trying that. Krishna, as the Samasti Guru, is trying that. Your Shiksha Gurus are trying that. The Shastra is trying that. Everyone is trying to help us. Now, if we ignore this help, then who is to blame? It's not Krishna, it's not the holy name, it's not the Shastra, it's us. The onus is on us. We are responsible, So we have to become very, very sincere and serious and see that we are not just pretending, This is duplicity, Externally, we dress as a devotee, we behave as a devotee, but internally, we don't want to become a fully surrendered devotee, right? So that in itself is a big illusion, That is Maya. That is Maya, that you think you are a devotee, but internally you're not a devotee. And you don't want to surrender. You say, oh, it's Kali Yuga, Maharaj. How can we give up all this? How can we follow all this? It's torture. Following all this 4 eggs is torture. How can we let us compromise a little bit, So just try to understand this point, that the holy name, first installment of mercy, comes by showing us our weaknesses and where we should work on, how we should stop cultivating material attachments or maintaining material attachments. The holy name shows us, the Guru shows us, Shastra shows us, the devotees show us, every way Krishna is trying to guide us, So we need to take that step of seeing what the holy name, Harinam Prabhu, is trying to tell me, trying to show me, and then work on that, right? That is the meaning of sadhaka, real sadhaka, right? He sees, he perceives what the Guru expects from him, what the authorities expect from him, what his counselor, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru expect from him, ultimately what Krishna expects from us, Because in the spiritual realm, there cannot be any disloyalty to Krishna's will. Each and every one of the infinite souls there are all aligned with Krishna's desire. So bhakti, the path of bhakti, means to align our desires with Krishna's, Guru and Krishna's, right? So we have to understand this, that if we neglect, if we ignore, when the holy name is trying to show us something, then the holy name takes offense and will withdraw the mercy. And then for a few months, or if you have repeatedly ignored for a few years, there will be no mercy. It will be a dry spell. Chanting will be like, chewing sand, So we have to be careful. We have to become internal devotees, We have to make our hearts and our minds devotees, And it takes a lot of effort to bring transformation in the heart and the mind, rather than the external transformations, So please try to understand this subject matter. Hopefully it will help you to become more internalized and help you progress in your devotional service. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any question? Rukumini Dwarkadish Prabhu.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, आप अनम्यूट करके बोलिए।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
You may unmute. Yes,
Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Prabhuji, as you just said, in the spiritual world, there is no question of disloyalty. So those who are conditioned, soul, rotting in this material world, never part of the spiritual world.
This is a very, very long question to answer. So there are like 2-3 references on that. So 2-3 points which have been explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So yes, you may be there and then you may not have been there. Both things are there. It's like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there and one of his servants, he was allured, by the gypsy women. So that for a tatastha jeev, the potential to fall down to reject Krishna is always there, because Krishna has given you that minute independence. Because Krishna Krishna is trying to force you, then where can be the question of love? So the Nitya Siddhas, they never misuse the independence, but the jivas, we have misused that independence, and we have that potential to misuse it every second.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, but when a living entity is in the spiritual world, there is no question of disloyalty, or there is no question of going against the sweet desire of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, but Krishna,
so how do living entities fall down?
Krishna comes with you to perform Leela in the material world, that time you can fall down. Somebody else? Who is next?
Nagpur base, they have raised their hand, so you can unmute yourself.
Nagpur base, go ahead.
Please
unmute yourself.
Okay, we can take the next question. Mother Muralidhar Prabhu or Gopal Radhe Prabhu, you can unmute yourself.
Yes. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for the class. It was very, very wonderful. I always look forward to your classes. So today, especially, you talked about how we have anarthas in our heart and the holy name puts it forward. There was one incident in when Prabhupada asked Gargamuni Prabhu, do you have sex desire? And instead of saying no, Gargamuni Prabhu said yes. So Prabhupada asked him, what do you do? So Gargamuni Prabhu said, I tolerate it. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, just tolerate. So sometimes when we see anarthas, is tolerating it, blindsiding it like you said, or how do we look at it?
Well, obviously, in the conditioned stage, because of our past habits, sometimes we will just have to tolerate it. But there is also the thing that we should not be feeding that. Like Krishna says, by contemplating these sense objects, you become attached, and then from attachment comes lust. So if we are tolerating what is happened to us but not contemplating, then we are sincere devotees. But if we are going on also contemplating and tolerating, then there is some insincerity in us, and Krishna will point it to us, and we need to correct that. Next.
Mother Muralidhar Prabhu.
Yes, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। तो जो आपने कहा कि से हम भगवान की बातों को इग्नोर करते हैं तो फिर ड्राई चैंटिंग में आ जाते हैं। तो वो ड्राई चैंटिंग चलता रहता है। तो वो ड्राई चैंटिंग से फिर आगे चैंटिंग छूट जाती है कि वो ड्राई चैंटिंग का कुछ फल होता है आगे?
Yes, even the dry chanting is some sort of sukruti. If you don't give up the dry part, then again the good part will come. But sometimes you are so dry, you give it up, then you go more into Maya. But obviously, because you have chanted, at some point Krishna will kick you back into the spiritual path. Who's next?
You can unmute yourself, Nagpur base. You can try unmuting.
Nagpur base, unmute.
I think you're facing some internet problem. Okay, next we can ask Madhavi Gopi Mataji to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, I just wanted to ask that sometimes while in the Grihastha ashram, first of all, you mentioned that we should have no desires if we want to really go back, means material desires, unless and until we minimize or come to very low material desires, we can't go back. But being in a Grihastha ashram, there are certain needs and requirements where we need to desire certain things materially also. So how to balance that? Because we also see that there are very great devotees and acharyas who were grihasthas, so how they did it. And another question is, many times it happens that for taking out time for the spiritual sadhanas and our spiritual goals, sometimes we desire certain material things, that if I have this instrument I will save time, or if I have maybe small things, if I have a car I can save time and do these things. So that is, you are desiring something material for something spiritual. So is it right, or that should not be the...
So, anashaktaya vishayan, without being attached, if you can use something for spiritual progress, like, yukta vairagya. So, you should not be attached to that, but if you can use it in Krishna's service, that's well and good. And whatever, how do we see what the material needs? So, for that, we have to follow Varnashram Dharma, the rules and regulations in the Varnashram Dharma. If we follow that, then we can gradually, go up in the Grihastha ashram and then become more detached, and eventually it will come. So, yes, for us, Varnashram Dharma is there until we go to the very advanced levels of bhakti that supports our materialistic life, but within the parameter of the rules and regulations prescribed, and without having too much attachment, just understanding that the need is there, we have to use it, but not be attached to it.
Okay, last question. Again, we can give a chance to Nagpur base. Last question of the day.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, as you said, ki, since we are in duality, we like Krishna also and we like Maya, but our goal should be to give up all the attachments and completely surrender to Krishna. So I want to surrender to Krishna, but there is not enough determination to say no to Maya. So how we can develop that great determination to say no to Maya and keep walking on the path where end goal is Krishna?
By serving the devotees nicely, associating with them, and getting more and more knowledge, so the clarity comes what we should do and what we should not do. Keep yourself in the association of devotees, then it will become easier.
Okay. Maybe I wanted to ask one question, if you allow. Probably sometimes what happened in Brahma Muhurta, we chant, so due to offenses, we suffer so much in the chanting. But then after Mangal Arati happens, lecture happens, and then when we do chanting, then it goes very smooth and nicely. So why it happens, I don't understand. Or in the afternoon we chant, then we are able to chant very nicely. But in the Brahma Muhurat particular time, we suffer so much. This happens many times.
Well, it is because of the conditioning, and sleep is in the mode of ignorance. So when we go in the mode of ignorance for 6 hours, 8 hours, then it takes a little bit of time, a few rounds, before you become normal, before we come into the flow of chanting. Maybe like that. The conditioning is there. Different devotees have different conditioning. Okay, we'll end here now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
So we can thank His Grace Sacchidananda Prabhu in our traditional way by 3 times chanting loudly Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we request His Grace Sacchidananda Prabhu to repeatedly come again to our platform and enlighten us, just as you did today, by showing how the chanting, more and more chanting, reveals our anarthas, how we should not take it cheaply by just wearing a 2000 bucks devotee dress and becoming a devotee. We must do prayers like Yashoda Mata did. So we thank once again His Grace Sacchidananda Prabhu. So now we can end the session here. सारे भक्तों को दंडवत प्रणाम, गुरु महाराज के चरणों में दंडवत प्रणाम। वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय। रामाचार्य ठाकुर की जय।